Hey guys, hope you're doing well today. And in this video I would like to share with you how I feel like I have a newfound peace within myself, and it's honestly a fantastic feeling. So perhaps you feel a little bit agitated or confused or anxious most of the time, and perhaps you're not even really aware that you do. Okay? I felt like this for many years in my life. I was always a little bit uncomfortable within myself. I really didn't feel at home. I was slightly anxious all the time. And it was only until very recently I came to realize that it's possible to live without this feeling. So perhaps you've been wondering why you don't feel really at home within yourself. And I hope that by sharing my experiences, it might help you discover a path that might lead to this sense of inner peace, this sense of feeling at home within yourself, because it's a beautiful feeling. And I'm eternally grateful that I'm able to experience this, even only slightly. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm this enlightened person and that I'm constantly feeling a sense of bliss, but I do feel a newfound sense of peace within myself. And it really came to me after I went to the rainbow, because at that event, the decision I made to stay despite feeling all this discomfort is one that really shifted something inside me. Because I've been living my life partly as a rebellion against my own fears and ways to keep myself small. But on the other hand, I've also lived my life in fear. Fear of letting go, fear of facing mistakes that I might have made in the past. Fear of letting go of old identities, old parts of myself that I held on to for such a long time. And one of those identities is the one where I lock myself up in commitments. Commitments regarding the YouTube channel, commitments regarding my diet, commitments regarding my exercise routine, okay? I was so attached to daily exercise and eating a certain way. And at the rainbow, I kind of voluntarily took myself out of that routine. And it was a very scary decision for me, super scary, because I didn't know what would come after that. But as it is with so many of our biggest fears, they're usually just an illusion. You know, that's the crazy thing about it. It's this elusive big cloud of anxiety that we have. But once we pierce through it and it pops, it's as if we have been fooling ourselves for such a long time. And by deciding against the fear that I felt, the resistance that I felt to stay at the rainbow, by deciding against that fear and by committing to pushing through that resistance, I discovered that any fear I have, I can actually decide against it. I can push through it. I can decide to face the fear and do it anyway. And that brings such a profound sense of peace, because I was living my life so anxiously, because I was constantly afraid that fear would overtake me. You know, I would be afraid to speak up to someone. I would be afraid to go talk to someone I was interested in. I would be afraid to share something that I was ashamed about. All these fears, which made me so anxious all the time on a subconscious level. Very subtle anxiety all the time. I felt this anxiety. I was not safe because I couldn't be honest. I couldn't face the fears. I felt like I couldn't handle the reality of my life. And that made me so anxious. And after deciding against, literally guys, and it sounds stupid perhaps, but it was my biggest fear, like literally my biggest fear, to let go of my exercise routine, to let it go for a week, to not exercise for a week. Imagine, that was my biggest fear. It's crazy to think about that. And so I decided against that fear. I decided to stay and push through that resistance. And that gave me a newfound power somehow. It's weird to explain it. You have to experience it yourself in order to really understand what I'm talking about here. And the way I think you can do this, you can apply this in your own life, is to really think about the number one fear that you have, the thing that you have been pushing aside for years. I pushed this fear aside for 15 years, guys. 15 years it took me. That's a long time, okay? And perhaps there is one of these fears that you have been pushing aside for years, okay? I invite you to look that fear in the eye, to perhaps think about all the consequences that you're afraid that might happen, and then realize that they're not as bad as you think they are, and then deciding to act against that fear. Oh my God. And I know what you're thinking right now, but I can't do this. Wolf, I can't. I'm too afraid. It's impossible. My life will crumble when I decide to do the thing that I'm most afraid of. I am here to tell you that the exact opposite is going to happen. Your life is going to change in such a dramatic way that you can't even fathom. And in my case, I know now within myself that I can be free. If I decide to be, I can be. And it's only in my mind that I'm keeping myself stuck. It's only in my mind that I keep myself hostage, that I stay small, and I no longer want to be small, and I know I can be large. That's the funny thing. I know I can be large when I decide against my fears, because living in fear means a life of anxiety. You feel like a coward. I felt like a coward. I felt small. I felt like a child, very immature, because I was so afraid to let go of this exercise routine. I was always trying to install it the first thing when I came somewhere. When I arrived in a new place, first thing I did was finding a gym so I could feel safe. I could feel, I can go exercise. I don't have to feel anxious. But at the Rainbow, there was no gym. And that was what made me so afraid to stay. But I decided to stay there anyways. And now I realized I don't have to be afraid. It's so strange to talk about these things. Because for you, it might sound totally obvious. Of course it doesn't matter. Like, not going to the gym for a year is not going to change anything, right? But for me, it's going to change everything. Everything in my life is going to change, because I can now be free of this self-imposed prison. And I'm still procrastinating on it a little bit, you know. I'm still here in Cancun. I'm still maintaining some of my routines, but the inner peace is there, because I know I will make the decision. It's inevitable now. I can't escape it. I know now that this is what I have to do. I have to face this fear, and I have to push through it, and I have to come out the other side. So I'm joking to my friends right now about my New Year's resolutions. You know, most people, they make a New Year's resolution to start going to the gym consistently. Finally, I will sign up for a gym membership, and I will continuously and consistently go to the gym. And I make the New Year's resolution now to actually consistently not go to the gym, because that is what I need to do right now. And I'm afraid, I really am, because I fear that my body is going to change in ways that I don't like. I fear that I might lose all my strength. I fear that it's a deep-rooted fear. On a subconscious level, I fear that everybody will lose their respect for me. I will never be attractive to women, because I attach so much of my self-worth to the way my body looks. And it's crazy to say this, because it's so superficial, it's so vain in a way, but it's because all of these layers of these conditioned beliefs that I put onto myself. You know, first impressions in high school, my friend, he's a good-looking guy, girls fall for him because he looks good, and I interpret that as, oh, it's his body. So I need to get that body so the girls will feel the same way about me, right? And then I reinforce that belief over and over and over and over again. And it's these thick layers of beliefs on top of that. And it becomes my identity. And letting go of that identity is incredibly scary, because you've invested so much into that identity, right? I've invested so much time, hours and hours and hours I've invested into this identity. And now I am finally realizing that at any point in time you can decide otherwise. You can make a decision to reinvent yourself. You can. And it's the most profound feeling I've experienced so far. Not the most profound feeling, because the most profound feeling for me was the experience of truly falling in love with someone. That is even more profound in my opinion. But this newfound peace within myself is going to allow me to probably fall in love even more deeply. Not only with another person, but also with myself. And it sounds super cliche, but it's incredible. It feels amazing to just carry through the day with this sense of peace. It's so amazing. This faith in future, this knowing, this inner knowing that everything is alright and everything is going to be alright. That is so powerful. To have this sense of comfort within myself. I feel at home. I have no words to describe what it feels like, and it doesn't go away. That's the strange thing. Like every day I wake up and thinking, okay, now it's about time that this feeling goes, but it stays, because I have this inner knowing now that I can overcome anything. I feel so powerful in a sense, because it's the fears that keep us small, and once we learn that we can in fact overcome these fears, man, you are going to be unstoppable, and not as a force to be reckoned with, and you're going to become the most successful person in the world. That's not what I'm talking about, but more on a personal level, personal freedom. You're going to be unstoppable. You will do anything that you set your intentions for. And I have a lot of intentions that I set for this year, and I feel so confident that I'm going to make these intentions a reality. That's the beautiful thing. That's what gives me this peace. I now have this newfound sense of freedom. There's so many things that I wanted to do in my life, but I felt afraid to explore, because I knew that this exercise problem would make things difficult. Okay, imagine going on a van life trip for 6 months, having to find a gym every single day to exercise. That's not only going to cost a shitload of money, but that's going to cause a shitload of stress. Now, if I can let go of this need, it's easy as a breeze. And of course it will be still a challenge, but the main thing that scared me the most is now off of my shoulders. And that is just the most, calming, exciting thing I've ever felt since I fell in love with someone. And I'm eternally grateful for that. And I want to explore this feeling a lot more, and I want to report back to you guys how this is changing over time. But I just feel so grateful that I have this newfound peace within myself, and I think that it's only going to grow now that I know that this is possible. And I want to share this with you because I know it's possible for you too. That's the amazing thing. Once you commit to making decisions that are designed to challenge your fears, once you train yourself, and once you have the positive reference experiences that it's possible, man, there's going to be so many doors that open for you can't even fathom. Perhaps that's even something you're afraid of, right? I feel kind of anxious and afraid about this newfound freedom also, because I'm like, the world is my oyster now. I can do anything. anything, and that is overwhelming but extremely exciting. So that's it, guys. I wanted to share with you this newfound peace and what led me to actually feel this. I hope it was inspiring. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to share them down below in the comments. I read and reply to each and every one of them. I always feel super grateful when I receive some of your thoughts. If you liked the video, please click that like button for me. This helps to expose the video to more people who might want to learn more about a new sense of well-being and peace within themselves. And if you would like to see more content like this in the future, please click that subscribe button for me. And as always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.